Ready to build a dollhouse?
Hey y'all, it's Rhegis from the MorrisMansionBlog.com. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to share with you how I built this wooden dollhouse from just some very simple materials for my daughter a few Christmases ago. You'll need 6 boards that are 12 inches by 48 inches, 2 that are 16 inches by 36 inches, and 2 more that are 24 by 48 inches, all at 3/4 of an inch thick. Most of the wood for this project can be cut down using a miter saw or even a circular saw. You will need a table saw because we need to cut the roof pieces at an angle. On the shorter side of the 16 by 36 degree boards, you need to cut those at an angle of 22.5 degrees on one end of each of those boards, so that when they meet in the middle, they make a perfect 45-degree angle. And then rip them down from 16 inches to 13.5 inches, which is easier to do on a table saw. It can also be done with a circular saw though. And then you can use a miter saw for the rest of the cuts. I have a full cut list on my blog and a blog post for this project linked in the description. Then use a Kreg jig and your drill. Set the Kreg jig to the thickness of your boards and drill holes along all of the edges where the wood frame is going to be attached together, and then start assembling. I used glue in all of the joints for added durability, and then I am going to make sure everything is square before I screw the frame together using pocket screws. Part of the cut list is these little room divider walls. There are going to be 5 rooms in total plus the big attic, so it was just another extra added detail I wanted to add some little arched doorways. I thought my daughter would have so much fun with this, putting her little critters through the doorways and moving them from room to room, and it's just such a sweet little added detail. And did I mention I am decking this thing out like the old house of my dreams? So we had to have archways. Sand them down so nobody gets splinters, and then you'll feel better about yourself. Now that the frame is built, let's add in our floors. Use the walls to prop them up and make sure everything is square before attaching to the frame with wood glue and brad nails. Repeat the process for the next floor and then make sure that everything is level. So being totally transparent about my mistakes. See this gap here, because it doesn't fully sit between this board and this board. One of the boards was either slightly taller, and so this is not 100% level. It's very close. But what I'm going to do to extra secure this is screw some nails or some screws in from the bottom. Now for the roof, take those 2 boards that we cut down at a 22.5 degree angle, and I'm just attaching them with wood glue and some brad nails, and I'm attaching them to the frame the same way, just kind of making it as center as I can and putting some more wood glue and brad nails to secure it to the frame. Was the peak exactly as pushed together as it should be? No, but that's what wood filler and caulk are for. For the cut list on my blog and at the beginning of this video, I was telling you all of the big boards that you need to buy, but at the last minute, I decided to use some leftover bead board for the back instead of the 24 by 48 boards. So use whatever you want. Basically, we're just covering up the back so that we can put all the pretty doll furniture in here. And the method I used for cutting it was just tracing it along the back and cutting it out as best I could with my jigsaw. I really like the character that the beadboard added to my dollhouse, because remember, I'm going for the old house of my dreams that I will probably never get to live in, but I thought it would be fun to make kind of a vintage looking dollhouse, because my daughter has a very vintage looking room and it fits right in. Now on to the finish work. It's time to caulk all of the seams and sand everything down to prepare it for paint. I also had to sand down the wood filler you'll see me add to the roof peak here in a second. I was really crunched for time on this, so I'll be completely honest. I did not prime the bare wood, which is something you should absolutely do so that the grain does not eventually bleed through the paint. But I cheated and used a paint and primer in one. And now I am going to fill the gap between the two beadboard panels. Watch this magic. The caulk makes it completely disappear and be seamless. What crack? You can't even see that. I'm blown away by that. And then it was time to sand, and sand some more. I don't know why I was using my hand sander. I go to my palm sander here in a second. But again, I really wanted everything to be really smooth, so it is worth it. I was covered in sawdust by the end of this, but you want to go through the grits. I started with 80 to get off any imperfections, knots in the wood, and then I went up to 220 and 300, and I think even 400 to just get it really smooth. And then you want to wipe everything down with a damp cloth before moving on to painting. Again, I used a paint and primer in one. I recommend that you prime and then paint your wood projects. Now we can accessorize. I made a kitchen out of some balsa wood I got on Amazon. I found these foam craft sticks at Michael's that look like beams. I made a farmhouse sink out of air dry clay, and all of the floors were either popsicle stick stained or some scrapbook paper. And this is how it turned out. Say it with me. Isn't she cute? I am so in love with this dollhouse. I'm so proud of how it turned out. It was a lot of hard work, but it was definitely worth it. So the top floor is the attic, which is like a guest bedroom slash playroom for her mice. Then we have the second floor with more beams and the living room and the kitchen. This kitchen is the kitchen of my dreams. I would love for it to look like this one day. And then the bottom floor has more bedrooms and a bathroom to share. There are those archways, and I was even bougie enough to add wall molding. How cute is that? That's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by the mansion, and I'll see you next time.